Are you with me? Turn to your neighbor and say, are you with him like I'm with him? Now, try it again. Are you with him like I'm with him? So that the inner house and the outer house both had what? A veil and a set of double doors. Now something done open when Yeshua died, and I'm going to prove to you it couldn't have been the veil to the Makom Davir, but it was the veil to the set apart place, just like Scripture says it was. I'm going to read you from Josephus. How many have heard of Flavius? Josephus, the Jewish Levite who was a historian, but he was completely anti-Jewish and anti-Roman. He didn't really stand for anything. He just stood for his own belly, and he just recorded history the best way he could record history. You've heard of Flavius Josephus. Amen? Here's what Flavius Josephus says in Jewish Wars, chapter 7, verses 5 through 7. If you're taking notes, the Wars of the Jews, or Jewish Wars, chapter 7, verses 5 through 7. It says, listen, in the temple, in Herod's temple, when was the first temple destroyed? When was Solomon's temple destroyed? 586 BCE. Amen. What happened for 70 years? It lay in ruins. Who rebuilt Solomon's temple? Zerubbabel, Ezra, and Nehemiah. What was missing from the Kadosh HaKadoshim in the second temple that was found in the first temple? Right. The Ark of the Covenant, seat, Aaron's rod that blossomed, and the golden pot of manna and the golden censer. It was missing from the second temple. How do we know? Josephus tells us. Listen to what Josephus says. He says, in the Holy of Holies, in the Kadosh HaKadoshim, in the second temple, he says, the presence of Yahweh, he calls him God in Greek or Aramaic, depending on which version of Josephus you believe he wrote, never lived in the Kadosh HaKadoshim. Josephus says that Yahweh's presence never lived in the Holy of Holies. From the time the Jews went to Babylon, it never returned. The only time it returned, according to the Jewish sages in the Talmud, is for how long? 3.5 years. And it didn't hang around in the Holy of Holies, or the most set apart place. It went where? To the east, and hung out at the Mount of Olives. Yahweh's Shekhinah, or as they say in the Kodesh, Shekinah, Yahweh's Shekhinah dwelt on the Mount of Olives, hoping to find someone that was willing to head west back into the Holy of Holies, or toward the Holy of Holies. Now, isn't it interesting? Yeshua only happened to live to minister after receiving the Ruach in the Yarden, with the mikvah, and the dove came upon him. He ministered for 3.5 years. That's exactly how long the rabbis say Yahweh moved his presence. He didn't just disappear. He didn't just leave the Holy of Holies because there was no Ark of the Covenant. That even at the time of 70 CE, when the Romans destroyed the temple and the city, the second time on the 9th day of Tisha B'Av, that Yahweh gave Israel a chance. Even after they rejected Yeshua, his Ruach moved to the Mount of Olives because that's where Golgotha was. He was calling men to Golgotha to bring them back west into his presence. Yahweh, why would Yahweh move to the Mount of Olives? Because that's where Golgotha was. I think we learned that last week.
Yes.
Now listen to what else it says in Shabbat 33a. Through the crime of bloodshed, the temple was destroyed. This is the second temple. Without the Ark of the Covenant, without Aaron's rod that budded, without the mercy seat. The temple was destroyed, and the Shekhinah departed from Israel, as it is written, so you shall not pollute the land wherein you are, for blood pollutes the land. You shall not defile the land which you inhabit, in the midst of which I dwell. Hence, if you defile it, you will not inhabit it, and I will not dwell in its midst. What did Yahweh say? He said, if you defile the land, I will not dwell in its midst. Why did the Jewish Israel go to Babylon? Why did the Jewish people go to Babylon? Because they defiled and they polluted the land. They withheld the land from Shemitah. What is Shemitah? The 7th year Sabbath, when Yahweh said every 7th year you are to let the land rest and it'll produce for you. And if you refuse to let the land rest every 7 years, I will evict you for all the Sabbaths that you refuse to let the land rest. And therefore it was 7 cycles of 10 cycles of 7, or for 70 years Israel had stopped allowing the land Sabbath, or the Shemitah, and Yahweh said, because you will not give my land rest, A, you won't be there, B, neither will I dwell in your midst. So why did the Jews go to Babylon for 70 years? Those were the same 70 years that they refused to let the land rest and have her Sabbath. Told? So the Jewish rabbis knew that for the 500 years before Messiah Yahshua shows up, Yahweh had moved out, honey. You listen to what I'm saying. I'm going to show you how stupid this teaching is that we can enter the Holy of Holies. That's what it is, stupid. I'm going to show you how stupid it is. If I can prove to you that Yahweh never lived in the Holy of Holies after the Jews went to Babylon, how can you enter the Holy of Holies when it's an empty room and Yahweh's not there? If I tell you you can enter the presence of Yahweh, and Yahweh says you can enter, but I won't be there, we have a little bit of a problem, don't we?
Problem.
Hello? If Yahweh says I won't be there when you enter, we've got ourselves a problem.
I have no problem.
Now, we know that Jeremiah the prophet hid the vessels. He hid the Ark of the Covenant. There's a big debate where. Under the Temple Mount, Mount Gilboa, Shmoa, Mount Gerizim, who knows? You know, there's all these ministries, you know, they'll sell you $100 tapes. You know, the Ark of the Covenant was underneath the Temple Mount, and when Yeshua died, the blood fell. But how can that be? Because we learned last week that Yeshua died in the Mount of Olives, unless there's 2 arks. And, you know, I don't even want to get into that. The point is that every priest, every leader, every sage, every scribe, every sofer, every teacher in Israel knew that Yahweh never inhabited the second temple. That was a non-debatable point. Beyond debate. Only Christian theology believes that Yahweh lived in the Holy of Holies. When the room was empty, Ted, that 20 by 20 space was empty, and right in front of the 20 by 20 was a 1 by 1 cubit state called confusion, meaning you enter confusion, and what is the confusion about? Where's Papa?
Eifo Abba.
Don't they meet Papa? If you're going to go worship Abba Yahweh and you start going to his house and Papa's not home, that's the area of confusion, because A, you can't get in if he was home because you're not the high priest. B, even if you were the high priest and he went in on Yom Kippur, as the high priest went in, he found that someone was missing.
No, bye-bye.
That's why that little area where the high priest was about to enter the Holy of Holies, the Kadosh HaKadoshim, was called in Hebrew confusion. Because one of the reasons is we don't know where the Kadosh HaKadoshim and the Makom Kadosh ends and the Kadosh Doshim starts. But another reason is I'm supposed to bring the Yom Kippur sacrifice, Vayikra 16, onto the altar of the mercy seat of him who speaks and dwells between the cheruvim, and Papa's not there. There's no mercy seat. Problema pequeña. Sí.
It's on the Mount of Olives.
What did Yahweh say? He moved to the Mount of Olives looking for someone willing to come back west.
Go west.
And he did that in the ministry of Yeshua. That's why Yeshua ministered in the Mount of Olives. The Last Supper was in the Mount of Olives.
Hallelujah.
Gethsemane was on the Mount of Olives. He died on the Mount of Olives. He rose from the Mount of Olives. And in Acts chapter 1, he is returning to the Mount of Olives because Yahweh says, I haven't been among you for 500 years, Jewish Israel. Papa's not home. But Christianity says, don't go to Rabbi Moshe because he's teaching false doctrine. He's teaching that the veil to the Holy of Holies wasn't ripped and that we can't enter the Holy of Holies. Why would you want to enter the Holy of Holies when the Father hadn't lived there for 500 years? Would you explain that one to me?
Come on. You don't move. No, bye-bye.
There was no Ark of the Covenant, there was no mercy seat, there was no cherubim, there was no Aaron's rod that budded, there was no golden pot of manna, there was no golden censer. It was an empty room.
Empty.
And if there was no Ark of the Covenant, then what the high priest did on Yom Kippur was not an atonement. Well, wait a second. That brings up the question, what did he do? Well, according to Jewish Wars, Josephus chapter 5, verse 5, listen, he says, the high priest entered the Holy of Holies and found nothing. Jewish Wars, chapter 5, verse 5, Flavius Josephus. The high priest entered, and you think he was confused before he entered, in that 1 cubit square. He got in and he goes, oh man, bummer. Bummer, man. Why'd I come in here for? I want to do the atonement for myself and for Kol Yisrael, and there's no mercy seat. There's no Ark of the Covenant. Papa's not home. The Roman Church says, of course, that's why you need us. Because the Lord don't love the Jews anymore. They killed Christ. Come to Rome. We don't even go there. That's another teaching for another time. So what religion has told us is, A, you are equal to Yeshua. You're the high priest. You can enter the Holy of Holies on earth and heaven. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter because of the blood of Yeshua. You can enter the Holy of Holies because the veil has been torn. A, only the high priest can go what? Be'et la paroket, or inside the veil. The people of renewed covenant Israel, born again or not born again, can never enter inside the veil. The Hebraic idiom inside the veil by definition means only the Kohen HaGadol. Oh, we now run into a problem. Let's assume you are a Kohen HaGadol, which nowhere in the Brit Hadashah does it teach that you are a Kohen HaGadol, that we are priests, not high priests, because if we were high priests, we wouldn't need a high priest.
Amen.
So, but let's play devil's advocate. Let's say we are all high priests. The Brit Hadashah the new covenant is wrong. Rabbi Moshe is wrong. We're all high priests. The veil has been torn. We can enter the Holy of Holies. My question to you is, what would you find? What would you find there? An empty room. I can go to Kendall and rent a room for $500 a month and put it empty. But I gotta go make aliyah and proclaim myself through spiritual and religious pride and arrogance to be a Kohen HaGadol, and religion can't stop me. Glory to God. I'm hanging on. I'm going all the way for Jesus. I'm going all the way for Jesus. I'm going right into the Holy of Holies. And when you get there, that's why I'm not going all the way for Jesus. I'll take Yeshua. Thank you. There's a better way. Through his flesh. It's a new and living way. You ready for this?
Yes.
Do you see what I'm saying here? Why would you want to be a high priest to enter the Holy of Holies when Yahweh, it doesn't take a theological genius to figure this out. Yahweh did not live in the second temple, period. Because he would only make atonement for Israel on top of the Ark of the Covenant, which was a symbolic of Yahweh's Shekinah. Yahweh lived from 1000 BC to 586 BCE for a period of 440 years right in that Holy of Holies. But after he moved out and he never returned. What do the Jewish sages teach? Yoma 39b and Zevachim 55b. Our rabbis taught in the year Simon the righteous died, he foretold that he would die. They say, when do you know it? How do you know it? He replied, on every day of atonement, an old man dressed in white, wrapped in white, joins me and enters the Holy of Holies, leaving with me. But today I was joined by an old man dressed in black, wrapped in black, who entered the Holy of Holies but did not leave with me. After the festival of Sukkot, Simeon was very sick for 7 days and died. His brethren, the priests, forbore to mention the ineffable name in pronouncing the priestly blessing. Our rabbis taught, listen very carefully, our rabbis taught during the last 40 years before the destruction of Zerubbabel, Herod's temple, the lot of the Umim and the Tumim, the lot for Yahweh on Leviticus 16, one lot for the people, one for Yahweh, did not come up in the priest's right hand, nor did the crimson colored cord become white, nor did the westernmost light shine, and the doors of the Hekel would open and close by themselves. Did you hear that? So according to this sage, who was a high priest, he said that they used to have a cord, a colored strap. When Yahweh would forgive Israel's sins, that red cord would turn white. But for 40 years before the destruction of the temple, 70 CE, CE, that cord no longer turned white. More than that, the doors was of what? The doors of the Hekel. How many sets of doors were there? 1 Kings chapter 6. How many sets of doors were there? A veil and a set of doors for the speaking place, or the most set apart place, and another veil and set of doors for the Hekel. And the rabbis, were they believers in Yeshua? Were the traditional rabbis believers in Yeshua? No? Hello? I'll say that again. Were the traditional rabbis believers in Yeshua? No. And they say, mysteriously, the doors would open by themselves. You know why the doors of the Hekel would open by themselves? Because the day Yeshua died, the veil to the Hekel was rent, and the doors rendered meaningless, and Yahweh would open the doors. They open and close by themselves. Because there was, in the Talmud, it teaches, and I believe Josephus mentions it also, listen, that in front of the doors of the set-apart place, not the most set-apart place, the set-apart place was the doors of the set-apart place, but in front was the veil of the set-apart place. What does Scripture teach was torn? The veil of the set-apart place, but wait, there were doors. Okay? Now, if it was the veil of the Holy of Holies, how could the centurion and those who were with him in the east on Golgotha, looking west, if the veil to the Holy of Holies was ripped, how can they have seen it? Because the doors of the Hekel were closed, and the veil of the Hekel was not yet rent. I'm glad I came to the beach today. I'm glad I came to Notre Dame, Miami Beach. I'll say that again for those of you who are a little bit slower on the music today. If Golgotha is to the east on the Mount of Olives, which we learned last week it was, then, and the Holy of Holies had a what? A veil and double doors. But wait a second, you couldn't see that veil. Why? Because according to 1 Kings 6 and 2 Chronicles 30, there were doors in the Hekel and a veil in front of the Hekel. So if the veil to the Holy of Holies was ripped, I have a question for you. How did they see it? Thank you, brother. And Yahweh would not open the doors of the Hekel unless he first ripped the veil. And when he ripped the veil to the Hekel and he opened the doors to the Hekel, they would open and close by themselves, according to the unbelievers, not just the believers. We could see right into the holy place, the set-apart place, and what would we see? The showbread and the menorah. Didn't I tell you last week? How did they see that the veil was rent? The light of the menorah. Because they saw right into the set-apart place. They couldn't see into the Holy of Holies. Why? There was nothing to see. There was no menorah in the Holy of Holies. Can I tell you something else?
Come on, tell me.
As if this isn't fascinating enough.
Tell me.
In the original tabernacle in the wilderness, the Mishkan, there was one menorah made up of how many branches? Huh? 7 branch menorah. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 7 branches. This is what was in the tabernacle. Remember I told you, in Christian religion, they were all built the same way, but each one is different. You have to study it. So he had a 7 branch menorah. But listen, notice, you Ephraimites are going to like this. Ready?
Come on.
In the Zerubbabel temple, which the Holy of Holies was what? Empty. There was nothing what? In there. Yahweh didn't dwell there, so he didn't need any furniture. Does that make sense? If you're not going to live somewhere, why would you put furniture there? Either you're going to be there or rent it out to someone or be there once in a while. But if you're not going to ever be there, what do you need furniture for? So the Holy of Holies was empty. The most set-apart place was empty, but the set-apart place was full of the menorah, the table of his faces, as well as the 2 layers of bread symbolizing the 2 houses, 12 tribes of Israel broken into 2 houses, 6 in one stack, 6 in the other. But our sages tell us that at the time of the Zerubbabel, Ezra, Nehemiah temple, there was no longer a 7-branch menorah, but there were 10 small menorahs, each with 3 branches. Each of the 3 branches, Father, Son, and Spirit, the 3 faces of Yahweh, facing the table of his faces, or the table of showbread, but in the original Hebrew, it is Shulchan HaPanayim, or the table of... So Yahweh had not 1 menorah, meaning that Israel was full, complete, and 12 tribes restored. He had 10 menorot in the Makom, the holy place. So that Yeshua rent the veil, his death, rent the veil of the what? Hekel, or the holy place, not the most set apart place, but the set apart place. And that light, it was dark over the earth. Remember we talked about it was completely dark. So the light that allowed us to see that the veil was rent was light to the 10 lost tribes of scattered Israel. But you had to be in the east to see it. You had to be in the east to see Yahweh's light, Yeshua's death, bringing light to the... Because the 1 menorah was gone. Yahweh didn't want a menorah there because his people were divided. They were incomplete. But those 10 menorot fed off the light of Yeshua, and Yahweh ripped the veil of the Hekel, because where were these 10 menorot? Inside the set-apart place.
Hallelujah.
And that was the veil that was rent. If the veil of the Holy of Holies was rent, that means there was a veil that you couldn't see the Holy of Holies, and the doors of the Hekel, you couldn't see the veil of the Holy of Holies. Pray tell me, how did those on the Mount of Olives and those who were with the centurion on the Mount of Olives facing west see the veil rent when the veil of the Holy of Holies was behind A curtain, B, a set of doors? It's pride, man. Satan has come to you with religious pride. You are the high priest. You could enter the Holy of Holies. Right. My goodness, I cannot, and I confess that I cannot, and I confess that my Yeshua can. But this has so permeated religion, it's everywhere. If you pull the average pastor aside, he'll kill you over this. He will literally kill. If you tell him that by the blood of the Lamb we cannot enter the Holy of Holies, that is not according to Torah, it is he will literally kill. He'll throw you out. He'll excommunicate. Let's be honest. You will get excommunicated. You will get the right foot of fellowship. I think some of us knows how that feels. Getting the right foot of fellowship. Okay, but watch this. Our rabbis taught, listen, during the last 40 years before the destruction of Zerubbabel's temple, the doors of the Hekel would open by themselves. Is there scripture? Yes, there is. This is a prophecy fulfilled. Zechariah 14. Zechariah.
That's right.
14. Come on now. Zechariah 14. Give me a page, please. When you get there.
642.
642. 642. Pardon me, my error. Zechariah 11. Now you know I'm not a high priest. Zechariah 11. Zechariah 11, verse 1. Ready? Open you doors of Lebanon, and let fire devour your cedars. Howl, O Cyprus, for the cedar has fallen, because the mighty are ravaged. Howl, you oaks of Bashan, for the dense forest has come down. Listen, howling of shepherds, for the splendor of Yahweh's presence has been ravaged. Listen, roaring of lions, the pride of Jordan is ravished. Thus saith Yahweh, feed the flock of Israel for slaughter. What did we learn in 1 Kings, the 2nd Devarim 30? That the doors to the what? Hekel were made of cedar, the cedar of Lebanon. Here it says, open, O cedar of Lebanon. What kind? Open the doors. What doors? Yahweh's doors would open to the Hekel, because, and of course to the Holy of Holies, because he was moving out. He would not dwell anymore in the most set apart place, and the doors would be devoured by what?
Fire.
Suntan, snow, fire. Have you ever read the account of the fall of Jerusalem under Titus and Vespasian and the Roman army? They burned everything. Yeshua said there will not be left one stone upon another that will not be thrown down, because you did not know the time of your visitation. You will not see me again until you learn how to cry, Baruch haba b'Shem Yahweh. Here is a prophecy in Zechariah 11 how the doors of Lebanon would be burned, because A, Yahweh was no longer in the Makom Davir, and B, it was to let Israel in as the doors would open.
Let him in.
Does that blow your mind? So what opened? The doors of the Hekel. Why? Because Yahweh split the veil when? When Yeshua died, Yahweh split the veil. But there was something else keeping you out of the set-apart place. That was the doors of the Hekel, and they would swing open permanently when the Romans came to destroy the temple. And now you have full access, 24 hours a day.